Hello everyone and welcome to Greyhammer. Thank you all for tuning in and welcome to the Hammerhead Zoo that I'm doing my first speed build ever, so apologize if if I just have a bit of a difficulty speaking sometimes, but we're creating kind of an enclosure for Ratites, as the description probably implies. We're going to be building out the frame of the building at first. I had this idea to kind of have it with kind of like a slope throughout the whole thing. And apologies for kind of low resolution on this. I will have a higher resolution kind of cinematic shots towards the end for the finished product. But I just want to also say thank you everyone to all the support y'all showed on the last video. This was me kind of planning out how much space I needed. I did a bad job at estimating how much space I needed more, but it works. It's really close. I need to put some kind of buffer calculations in, which I did a little poorly on the next one, but I'm kind of building a custom fence here. Is kind of how the idea is. And we're going to use a fence similar to this for a lot of different stuff, so I wanted to get it quite right, so I wanted to scale it with that archer prop, and then we are going to get a sort of a child-proof the bottom of it, kind of. And I think I went with this, but it was a kind of more complicated, for me at least. I'm sure people who are really good at Planet Zoo would... Actually, no, I went with something differently. That's right. I went with blinds, which I think actually looks better. And then we get the mesh in. Nice, and we're going to color everything that black. And then I think, I went with a light gray color there. I think it looks really good. I really enjoy it, at least. And so we're kind of just making that a group, and then we're just going to sort of bring that along. I kind of did this poorly. I should have not grabbed the last section and made it a little bit easier to match all this up, because you're going to get a little bit of Z fighting and it's a little bit more difficult to calculate the size. But then we're building the next enclosure, which is also just super easy, and then the next one as well. So this is going to hold cassowaries, kiwis, and emus, so it needed to be able to do as such. Also, this is all from stream, so if you see any pauses, I did my best to edit them out, but inevitably there will be some. This enclosure was really difficult to do, but I was able to make it work. But there were definitely some hiccups, but I think it looks really good at the end, and you can tell me if you think as well. Another thing, if you do like this kind of content, please let me know. It looks like I'm doing a little bit of management, but I tried to cut out that. My apologies. But please go ahead and subscribe and like, because we're trying to get to 150 subscribers, and we are really close. We're 12 short. We're trying to get there by January 1st. That's my kind of pre-New Year's resolution, and then we can kind of set some goals for next year. But really excited with how our content has been doing recently. So I think I'm gonna start building the staff area. And I was realizing I didn't have enough space in the back, so I was like, well, let's put it to the side and see how we can do that. So kind of just put this around, and I hate staff areas. They're just difficult for me to do. I don't really do an interior on this one very much. I do a bit of one, but it's very difficult for me to do interiors. And so then I wanted to put kind of fences in, because I was like, I don't want to put the pathing in before the fencing, because that can be difficult. So I wanted to create kind of a ramp, try and make it as natural as possible, but we'll blend it in with rock formations later. And then this was me just kind of trying to make it look a little bit more uniform. And I had kind of a pretty good vision. For me, what I did is I went and I looked up eco-regions of just different... and then I had some connectivity problems with Planet Zoo for some reason. So apologies for that. That probably should have been edited out, but it does not take me long to get it fixed. So, but look up different eco-regions that the animals you're creating exhibits look for, and there should be some pictures on Wikipedia and things like that. So you can kind of take a look at those. You could also use Google Earth. I have not tried that. But that kind of gives me an idea of the different habitats, and then I just look at all different architectural styles as well. I've got some really cool buildings planned in the future, but I realized I messed up here. I wanted to raise it just a little bit and get it rotated just the right way and lined up nicely. And then I wanted to bring the path along and then kind of bring these fences in, because the barrier gates were going to be difficult, and I wanted to create kind of a place where they could come inside, but that wasn't really going to work, so I ended up making an overhang. So I kind of make the rough barriers there. Had lots of problems with these barriers, but such is life. Had to change a lot of them from the bottom barriers to just different styles, but I think it worked out pretty well. Still some janky stuff here and there, but I'm learning a lot about just exhibit design and how to do it better for Planet Zoo, and well, I mean, it works out in the end, so you'll see. I think you're going to get some really cool cinematic footage at the end, but also, just an FYI, you will get a little bit of a sneak peek as to the next exhibit. Not much, for sure. So, yeah, I wanted it all lined up with the back wall, but I couldn't get it, so I made a few concessions. And then the kiwi one was not working with me at all on the back, and I don't know why. If someone can tell me why, just let me know. But I do fix it. I just make an entrance from the front, and it works pretty well. But that will happen in just a second. And then the pathing, of course. Pathing in Planet Zoo is perfect. There's no problems with it whatsoever. And so I just made this kind of towards the front because they're kiwis. There's no danger to them whatsoever. For the kiwis to have danger towards the guest. So I just kind of made it nicer. And so here I'm going to start working on trying to make the floor for the building. And so we just kind of bring that along. And then I was like, I don't really need it that long if I can't create an indoor section for the animals. So this building was not quite as well thought out as I wanted to, but I did kind of make it work for me. That's kind of really the thing. You're going to come in things that you don't know how to handle with. Maybe you'll be able to figure out how to deal with that kind of stuff later. Maybe you won't. But the thing I decided was the thing I've discovered is it's just best to kind of make things work. I think also I was getting some text messages through here. I should have done better at editing, but when you have like 4 or 5 hours of footage, I'm not an editing person. If someone is an editor and wants to do it for cheap/free, they'll let me know, but I can't afford much right now in the terms of editing, so. But I get kind of the front facade of this building worked out. I really liked the rich kind of cherry wood here look. I did not do it as optimally because I relied on the snapping to positions, so and here we get another reconnection issue, but gives me some chance to talk about what we're doing. So we're going to probably finish the Australian section, and then we're going to go back to North America, is kind of my plan. I'm really excited about the North American habitats that I won't have all the footage for, just because the building, but I will have pretty good footage for them with the individual. Unfortunately for these ones, the most complicated thing is in fact the my goodness, I can't think. Is the building for the North American, because it is round building, but I do a little bit of management because I run out of money. That's right. So you're going to see a little bit of management, me just working on making sure that all this is nice. Unfortunately, my bears drank dirty water, so that was difficult. So I think I ended up selling it at the end. And then I'm having to get some maned wolf, so a little bit of gameplay as well, and I'm realizing that we're getting a lot of people in. But I start to be able to build this back wall to separate the guest from the animals, and then looked like it disconnected, but it got better for some odd reason. But now I'm playing on play, so there's going to be a few interruptions here and there. But I prefer to do it on pause, but there's just sometimes it's a lot of management that you have to do. I think when I hit 20,000, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Since we're not doing any more staff facilities, it's not too expensive. So I think I went with these glass to kind of break it up. And I kind of tried to base it off of some architecture that I had seen that was Australian with the kind of cherry wood, but it's not perfect, but I like how it ends up, kind of trying to match it, make it different than the stuff I've already done, but also make it somewhat similar. So we're going to make kind of a flat top roof as opposed to the like a pitched roof. For one, I hate making pitched roofs, but the flat top kind of fits with our current theme. This was kind of difficult just trying to get these concrete floors in line. And without Z fighting, I remember this sucking. This is technically footage from like last week, so I'm doing my best to remember what all I do. I don't really do too much interiors in here. I just kind of do some very basics. Not really anything except for floors and some facilities. Probably should have done more, but I just couldn't be bothered at that point. Here I am just trying to group things, make it a little bit easier on myself. And I'm going to start working on the roof with a little bit of an overhang, just kind of plaster. Then I need to raise it up a little bit, and then just kind of bring that along, try and make it work really nice. And then I think, yeah, basically same thing over here. I think I fixed the back thing with some concrete walls, I think is how I end up solving that. Yeah, so here we go. We grab that concrete pillar and we're just going to make a backdrop, and that works pretty well. And then we're going to take some girders along the front, and it lags out again. I don't know why it was doing this. My internet is pretty good, but it's sometimes temperamental, so we're going to just get these girders. I really love the girders, so I use that kind of to frame the front here. And really, really liking these enclosures. And it's a lot of work for sure. I get these fences kind of and barriers situated really nicely is kind of the plan. And then trying to garden later, which is now what I'm doing, putting in some rock formations to kind of make it look a little bit more put together. I really like how it turns out. It's not the best. If I had a little bit more space, I'm trying to put every animal in the game into this zoo, so a lot of them are min-maxed. I probably won't be doing that in my next zoo. Next zoo I will be doing a much smaller zoo, and so, well, for one, that one will actually be different. That one will be sandbox, and I won't care about the animals' requirements as much. I'll be kind of using mods as well, is the plan, at least. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to make that work. I made all these cool rock formations, but unfortunately a lot of them I had to get rid of because of just the cassowaries not being able to navigate a lot of the terrain. They were able to navigate this bottom section, which is nice. I really like the faux rock piles. I think they work together to bring everything pretty in line. It's very nice. I wish I had also built this more during the day, because the green of these mossy rocks doesn't look super great for the faux rocks, but it looks alright, so I keep it. I'm really learning better on how to kind of layer my stuff, because I think the cassowary, there are a few things that I end up making ground cover really nice for them, and then I'm able to carry that over to the kiwi and the emu. So this is the cassowary that we're working on here. That's kind of the tropical, then it moves to temperate and then grassland. So kind of rock piles all around, hide kind of sharper edges of terrain, kind of make some more interesting like bits to the rock formations where maybe something fell down on it. And then this is my first time using the kind of decals, which I'm going to use them a lot on this one and not a lot on a lot of the other ones, because the idea for this zoo is that it's pretty new, or at least pretty well maintained and big budget. So I don't want a lot of wear and tear, but things like moss and algae that I can put in, but not too much grunge and not really any cracking. So that's it, kind of where we are for that. But then I've kind of put some habitat bedding, kind of raise and lower the terrain there. Enrichment items kind of killed me on the terrain here. I'm getting better at, for my next enclosure, I'll definitely be doing a lot better on it. Because, well, for one, it's a much larger enclosure. Just hint. So a lot of the stuff, it was a lot easier to do and not have these, and it didn't have as much terrain variation in terms of actual terrain. I just have a lot of rock terrain variation. I think this next habitat is probably my best that I've ever done. I'm really excited about it, but I really like these, especially the way I did the foliage on these. The rock work's not as great, but I do like the rock work in here. But the rock work for my next one is spectacular, in my opinion. It's probably the best I've done. So here I am just kind of trying to figure out where I can place things and not mess up the terrain too much. So it definitely has some steep terrain, but I am able to fix a lot of it with foliage and just kind of make it look nicer. So now just kind of emu, and this one was a little difficult because it made a bunch of sharp edges, but I cleaned that up with some rock formations later. And then there's just some that I didn't feel like the enrichment looked really great. So, and here's a kind of trick. You can disable collision in the menu. Thank you for Caesar Creates for telling me that in his videos. He shares a lot of those helpful tips. Highly recommend his stuff. This is definitely a longer one, and so also I wanted to get the animals into the enclosures because I wanted to see what their kind of traversable terrain was, because I wasn't sure if they would have, like, a lot of the cats have difficult traversable terrain, so I wanted to see where these ratites were, see if they could move across rocks and things. And I noticed that it was a little tough, but I reloaded for some reason. Maybe the internet connection was being weird again. But I think it's really just a Planet Zoo server issue. Oh, and bears were having difficulty as well. I think one of them grew up. So I replaced a bunch of bears. And then we're just kind of doing the same thing for our armadillos. So a little bit more management. I'll try and cut it out more for the next time lapse. And I did cut out a good bit, but here I was trying to find out how to make his terrain a little bit more where I could get him to different areas, which unfortunately means moving a lot of rock formations around. But thankfully, I did this before chewing too much. Like, if I had done all the foliage and having to rework all of that, that would have been a nightmare. So I just kind of moved that rock formation, kind of make more of an alcove there. And it will look a lot better with foliage. And then I have to move that, unfortunately. Kind of get it in the ballpark at least. And then kind of make his terrain kind of how he likes it, or how they like it. And then kind of get these kiwis. And I really wasn't going to spend a lot of money on the kiwis. Just And then I'm getting some conservation credits through your little high fives. And so then I had to adjust some terrain for the kiwi so that they couldn't escape, because their terrain was they were really good at being able to move around. And then emus, they're a little bit trickier because I needed multiple of them instead of just the pairs. And then just more staff. Always necessary to have more staff, especially when you're in franchise mode like this is in. So kind of getting them moving everyone around, getting the emus in, and then just kind of starting on the rock work now that I kind of figured that the kiwis were all good. So put in a good bit of rock piles over there and more rocks over there. And I really like how it turned out. I didn't want to hide the burrow too much, but I did make a mistake here. I do fix it later. So I just kind of get some of these rock piles in. I really like how this will end up with all the foliage. But, you know, with just the rocks, it looks a little bare, but we will be working with the foliage quite a bit, and it's going to be very nice. I think I was wanting to create sort of education boards, but then I just kind of used the ones that they kind of showed off. They already had blueprints for. So that was nice. I probably would have liked to have created my own ones looking back on it. And then I just want to get camera for the burrow and make sure that they're able to go in it. They will be able to go into it. And so I was comparing with the armadillo just to make sure things were accessible. And then here's a lot of work trying to make the termite mound accessible. And then for some odd reason, my foxes were being very, very difficult. So I have to solve that. Probably could have cut a whole 10-20 seconds off of that. But yeah, we're just kind of making some more better terrain options so that we can see if our emus are able to traverse a bunch of this area, which there are some areas that they definitely weren't, that I had to fix. I really want Planet Zoo 2 to have better terrain systems. I think it will, and I think that will be very nice. But I had to put in some rocks here just to make it look a little bit better, which I was already going to be putting in some rocks in, so here we're going to start on that. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I've gotten a lot better at rocks in like the past week even. Partly because of Caesar Creates tutorial, which I used quite a bit on the next one. I really like the rock work on the next one. Mainly because I just had to, for the animal that it is. I just needed a lot of rocks to make their habitat look really good. And so maybe you can guess what is the next animal. Go ahead and put that in the comment section. That will be cool. It is Australian, so that's a clue. But so yeah, just putting some rock work, making it look a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer around here. I do a lot of rock work in this one, not as much as I thought I was going to, just because I didn't want to make too much intraversable terrain for them. But I end up doing most of the rock work that I was planning to do on here in the next enclosure, which you'll see later. And you'll see little clips in the cinematics for that. I decided I kind of wanted to put mulch in here because I just thought it kind of looked more natural for a zoo to have it like that, which I definitely hold to. I think it just ends up looking a lot better, especially once we put the plants in. It's just going to bring everything together. And I will be creating a custom path for this as well. That's towards the end. I really like how it turns out, so very happy with that one. All the stuff from when I am more towards the next session, because this was 2 streams worth of work. I also just I don't do the ferns justice here. I do them a lot better in the kiwi enclosure, which is part of the second stream. So that's why, because I just get a lot better by the second stream. This one, I added some foliage, and I was at the end of it, I wasn't feeling like it was lush enough. So I did a lot of it off camera, so you'll see that in the cinematic. But so the kiwis, I just go crazy with the leaf litter. I was like, I need to make sure that I cover as much ground as possible because the texture of the ground is not the prettiest in Planet Zoo. So I just wanted to make it so that there's as smallest amount of grass visible. So I work a lot on these kind of ferns and stuff, and I'm just adding just some flowers as well. We're reaching towards the end of these exhibits, kind of just adding in all these different little flowering things. But I think that it ends up looking really good. We'll get some much better views later on and I won't have my conversation in there. I also really like this grass, so adding a bunch of that in makes it look significantly better. And there will be way more of that in the emu enclosure, as you would kind of expect. But there I was just trying to get a view of what it looked like. And now here's where we go crazy on the grass. Because, I mean, it is a grassland habitat is what we're trying to go for. So, but I'm also kind of trying to plan out where different places where the animals will be commonly walking through. So I don't want to keep putting a bunch of grass in areas where the animals are going to be constantly walking over. So like really sharp hills, then the animals probably aren't going to take that path. They'll take the path of least resistance. So we'll put a bunch of grass on there. Then but areas like close to their water, I want to create a little bit of a clearway around their foliage thing. Want to create clearway. I didn't feel like I had to with the scent marker because I feel like the zookeepers would hide that probably at least once a week. Just move the location so it doesn't necessarily need to be worn down. Here I am putting in some more grasses into this rock formation. And then this is kind of one that I use quite a bit, is the Triodia, I think is what it's called. I'm not a plant person. I do know a decent bit about plants, but it's one I use a good bit. And so I wanted to put a baobab in, but it just didn't really fit, even though they are common to the area that, like the savannas of Australia, they are somewhat frequent there. And then I start putting in just some nice smaller rocks just to make it look a little bit more cohesive. I'm trying to remember if I changed the color on them. I think I do. Yeah, because I add them into a group and then I grab the color from there. I don't think it changes that much. But it does change, yeah. I don't remember. No, I do have a lot more to do. So we're going to have a good bit more left. So here I'm going to start by creating a sign because I have made some signs just in Canva and I felt like using them. I'm pretty happy with them. With the signs in Planet Zoo, I'm very happy with the ones I made. Like in Canva, just loaded them in, and here I was trying to figure out how to load everything in because I've never done this before. I'd like to do more of it in the future, but yeah, and then this was just kind of a lot of trying to get everything right, and I'm not an expert on this whatsoever. I was trying to look for rivet pieces and stuff like that as well. And I was looking in Europe because a lot of their stuff looks really nice. So then I was just looking through trying to get what everything looked like. So that's our signs for the area. And then I kind of fix these conservation signs. But then we don't have power to a lot of the area. So then I think we're almost done we're just doing a little bit of gardening. I had someone on stream want a tour of my zoo, so I did that for him. So, Triaria grass, and then a few little flowers here and there, but I think they're a little too bright for the rest of the theme that I was going for. And then anything that I was able to change the colors, I did put some bracken in for them. And then I like the Scleradia bush for the tropical. I think it looks really good. I use it in my jaguar enclosure as well. But we're reaching towards the end here, so I'm going to be leaving you soon. But just a reminder, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in a little bit. And I think we are still going to have another section. I forgot we have a whole lot of building for the guest now. I say a whole lot, but I think I don't know what I was doing there. But here we're going to try and build a shade center, which definitely gave me some troubles, but I kind of made it work towards the end. But I really like how it ends up, but it's definitely on the took a lot of work to do, which, you know, is fine. I don't mind doing work. Apologies if you can hear my dog in the background. Really sorry. 1 second. I think I'm going to end you here, and so you can just see the cinematic of me building the fences and everything. And I'll just go ahead and enjoy the rest in silence. See you later.